saying that I agree with you and Van on the concessions that you're making, that early Christianity is quite diverse, and that you cannot find, like a cookie cutter. You just can't say, okay, here's Mormonism today, and you can't go back and find everything fit together with a Christian sect believing everything that we believe. But on the other hand, I would also have to agree with you that there is a lot of parallels, at the same time acknowledging many, many differences as well.
What actually is there is that there's so much material and there's enough diversity among the early Christian writers that it allows for, I think about any church today could go back and be selective. By being selective, select out statements from early church fathers and say, here is the support for our current doctrine in the writings of the early church fathers. But what I've been particularly interested in doing is looking at those things that were widespread ideas, and to look at those and see what those views were. And it's startling how many of the ideas that are very widespread and right at the core of Christianity, which are different among the early church fathers as compared to modern Christianity. I'm surprised that there aren't more people that have wrestled with that.
I'm surprised with the technique that the critics have used in finding parallels with other different groups, which the critics have said that this is what Mormonism has originated from. They borrowed here and there. I'm surprised that they have not looked at early Christianity and then used the argument that the Mormons have borrowed from early Christianity, because that is really, in my opinion, you find a lot greater parallels in that area. I would like to also hear some more of the from the fathers, if you have some quotes there. But I also would like to try something here. I didn't get a chance to get in on last week's program, but I have a tape of a small section where I would like to respond to a statement that James White had brought up. I would like to challenge his statement. He basically, Van was saying, you're admitting then that the early fathers did teach the doctrine of deification. He admitted that some did, but Van made the comment that all of them did, and he said that Clement of Rome and Ignatius could not be included in that.
Do you remember him saying that, Van?
Sure.
About Clement of Rome not being able to, that he would not be included as one of the ones that said that taught the doctrine of deification.
Yes.
Yeah. Basically, he said that the apostolic fathers didn't teach it.
Go back to the April 5th, 1992 radio program where he made this comment.
Van? Let me read to you a statement, James, because what you're doing is you have looked at the early church fathers and you're saying, okay, I've looked at the early church fathers, I've looked at the LDS point of view, and there's no parallel.
In regards to the nature of God?
No, we're talking about deification.
I thought we were anyway.
Well, in regards to deification, most definitely, because those same early church fathers, what does deification mean?
Well, it means men becoming gods, or God. They used it both plural and singular.
So, how then can what they believed God was be separated from the discussion of deification?
Well, whether you separate, I don't have any problem bringing the two together. I just don't think that you are admitting then. I mean, you are acknowledging that the early church fathers taught that men, or said, whatever it was that they meant, they did say that men can become gods.
Some of the early church fathers did, not all.
Many of them.
I don't even know it would be a majority.
In fact, I have a quotation here from Harnack, who's recognized as perhaps one of the greatest historians on Christian doctrine. He says they all taught it. So it's in the teachings of all.
It's not in Ignatius. It's not in Clement of Rome. So that's obviously an overstatement.
The apostolic fathers didn't teach it.
Well, that's where I'd like to challenge his statement. I have a quote here from Clement of Rome, a real short one.
What's your source on that? Is that out of Lightfoot?
This is in the Ante-Nicene Fathers, Volume 1, page 17. Clement of Rome. But they who are confident endure these things are now heirs of glory and honor, and have been exalted and made illustrious by God in their memorial forever and ever. Amen. I understand the word exalted to mean basically and also illustrious to basically mean the same sort of thing as being made partakers of the divine nature, and your body being glorified and perfected. And that's very similar to what Bessel later said. He was after the Nicene Creed, or maybe during the Nicene Creed era. I'm not exactly for sure certain. He said that basically we would be brought into perfection, and that our image would be changed like unto God's image.
A very close family relationship, and this author Jehoiakim Jeremias is pointing out in his research, and as I had mentioned earlier, it has been widely accepted as his work was so comprehensive and so thorough that it has been it's been accepted virtually everywhere among those who were scholars on the subject, that the term in Palestine at the time of Jesus was used. A son would call his father Abba at home. He wouldn't call him that in public. The closest translation that we have to it in English would be daddy, and it's something that, and this is the point that he makes in his writings, and it has had a quite profound effect on a number of scholars that I have read, and they're thinking about what some of the unique things that Jesus was teaching, and this being a very significant, substantial, unique idea that Jesus was teaching was that God is our Father in the sense that we are in a close family relationship to Him, to the extent that He even teaches His disciples to address Him with this term, Abba, which Jews didn't use in their prayers. They would not have thought of using that in a prayer, because it was too close, drew too close of a relationship between the individual and God. And so you can find Bible dictionaries that don't bring out this point, because this is something that's only come out in the last quarter of a century through the wonderful research of some very fine scholars.
In Galatians 4, as we spoke, chapter 6 being the one that mentioned Abba, in 7 it says, "Wherefore thou art no more a servant, but a son, and if a son, then an heir of God through Christ." So that really sort of helps people to understand the word Abba. Well, I won't keep you now, and you can talk, because I shouldn't monopolize this air.
Thank you, Susie. Some good help and great information for our listeners.
Well, and when you look at those in the context that she's saying, you can see where these scholars are coming from. The two passages that Paul uses them in Romans and Galatians. It's in both the passages he's talking about this, about us becoming joint heirs with God of what God has given him, and in John, in Mark, where he addresses God as Abba, he's using there not a Greek term, he's not using a Hebrew term, he's using an Aramaic term, which the author of Mark has carried into the text rather than using a Greek term. He's just brought this very term into the text.